Good evening and welcome to this very, very special midweek show dedicated to all things Caterpillar and Demolition. I will shortly be joined by one of our most popular guests ever, Monsieur Gilles René from Caterpillar, and he will be effectively your host for the evening. But a couple of things before we get started. First thing is, tonight's show gives you a unique opportunity to ask Gilles questions. So if there's anything you'd like to know about Caterpillar's demolition equipment, their attachments, their excavators, anything else, then please post your questions in the chat. I will be monitoring Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and any other platforms tucked away in the background. So please, please, please ask lots of questions. That's why he's here. In addition to all of that, we have not one, but two Caterpillar hydraulic breakers to give away. Models, not the actual things. They look like that. I've already got one. That's mine. You're not having that. But there is another. Well, there's another two. Just there. If you check the background on the screen, we will be giving those away at some point in the show. We're going to give one away around about the midpoint, and then we're going to give another one away in a, excuse me one second. We're going to give another one away at the end of the show. How do you enter? Couldn't be easier. You enter like that. You just type the word cat into the chat. Simple as that. Now, one point of order. If you're watching over on Instagram, our system doesn't recognize your entries from there. So if you want to be part of the competition to win those hydraulic breaker models, then you need to hop on over. I would recommend going to YouTube. Just go to YouTube and search for Demolition News. Drop your entry right there and you will be part of it. I'm going to say very, very quickly, Mark Fitz 77 says, cat telescopic boom, question mark. I'll come to that in a moment. And we're also going to say good afternoon, probably, to Stan Coined over in Fort Wayne, Indiana, all the way from Indiana. International audience already. So it is that time. That's the housekeeping done. It's time to bring onto the show one of the demolition industry's most knowledgeable men. Good evening, Gilles.
Good evening, everyone. I'm very pleased to be with you today and present a new products launched by Caterpillar over the last 12 months, let's say. Many thanks to Mark for allowing me to present these new products to you in two parts, let's say. In the first part, we will be detailing all the new machines, work tools, and technology in the CAT demolition range. And in the final part, we will be showing the latest video in our demolition series, which was filmed in Poland very recently, and which is sure to be a great surprise. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Gilles René. I am the Demolition Product Application Specialist and have been with Caterpillar for 22 years. If you have any question, don't hesitate to put them in writing in a chat, as Mark mentioned. He will be taking regular breaks to ask them. Before to start, I'd like to make a few comments. I'm based in Europe, so this presentation is in metric systems, so not imperial. So the figures themselves aren't important if you look at the presentation, but the gap between the figures is what you need to look at to understand. The difference between, let's say, 1 liter and 2 liters is exactly the same between 1 gallon and 2 gallons, for instance. There may be differences between your region and the one I am in, as legislation, regulation are different, especially as regards engine and gas emissions. Nevertheless, our machines are compatible for Tier 3, Stage 4, and Stage 5 regions, so what we call low regulated country or high regulated country. Having said that, let's get maybe started with the presentation I have prepared for you. So Mark, if you want to start with the first one, please.
Okay, well, I'm going to take myself out of here, and I'm going to put no, that's the wrong one. I'm going to put you on the screen, and I'm going to put that on the screen. And I'm going to take myself away, but you are now in control. Just say when you need me to change slides, and I will do precisely that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you in advance, Mark. So what's new in demolition at Caterpillar? That's what we would like to highlight today and to present today. We have a lot of new things, especially in the demolition segment. A lot of technology arriving also in the coming months. Also some new models arriving in the coming months and year. You will have good surprises at the end of the year and in the coming years also concerning purpose-built machine. But let's maybe see what we have done for the last 12 months months, which is already a great achievement because it's a heavy work to do that. So on the next one, Mark, if you agree, I'd like to start by giving you an overview. This slide is giving you an overview of what Caterpillar does in terms of demolition segment. What do we offer? Which portfolio do we have? So on the top left of your screen, you have the different machines that we do offer today. We will see those in detail later in our demolition segment. So we have straight boom machine, we have ultra high demolition machines. Sometimes we have material handlers machine, of course, that you sometimes can also see on some demolition job sites. It's rare, it's not common, but some customers are also demolishing with material handlers. Of course, not with this configuration as it is on the screen, but anyway, it happens. It exists in some region. Track loader, also tipped tractors and wheel loaders, of course, with special packages, because we need to have some additional protection while we are operating in the demolition job site. On the down part of your slide, on the left part, those are what we call the enablers, or we could say the couplers. We have really a big portfolio of couplers, depending the region and depending the habits of the customers. If we look quickly at what we can offer in our portfolio, we have pin grabbers, very common, for instance, in UK or in the US, in Canada. It's quite common to work with pin grabbers, a little bit less common for us in Europe. We have also two couplers. One is a CW platform, and the second is a S platform. S means symmetrical platform. Then we have also now developed, this is something I want to highlight now, and in the coming slide, an hydraulic connecting CW coupler, completely new, that we recently launched. We have also already for a while hydraulic connecting S couplers, always based on our symmetrical platform, which is also quite common, especially in Scandinavian countries and in a big portion of Europe. Tilt rotator, not being used in demolition, but part of our portfolio. And for wheel loaders, we have fusion coupler, 100% CAT coupler, let's say designed by CAT, produced by CAT, and the ISO coupler, which is, let's say, a kind of a generic coupler that you can find out in different regions in the world. Looking at the top right of the screen, we have all the work tools we are using, or main of the work tools we are using or working in demolition, multiprocessors with different jaw sets, so we can have on the same frame up to 6 different jaw sets, depending on your application. If you want to crush, if you want to shear, if you want to tongue shear, for instance, we can have different. We need to have different jaw sets depending on the application. Then we have rotary cutters that we have launched recently. 3 different lines up of hammers, hydraulic hammers. Of course, a complete portfolio, a complete lineup of buckets. Also a lineup of scrap shear, fixed or rotating, boom mounted or stick mounted, depending what the configuration you are choosing. Demolition grapple, extremely popular. This is what we call in Europe the servant on the demolition job site. Any machine has a demolition grab in Europe. Orange peel grapple is, of course, only for material handlers, so it's more for loading, not really for demolition, but it can happen that you find some material handlers on demolition job site with orange peel grapple. Crushers and pulverizer, we will see that in detail later. We have a tracker for monitoring the activity of each of your work tools, a very, very smart system, unique on the market. You will see that in detail. Clamshells, you can forget this. It's absolutely not part of the demolition segment, but being used on material handlers. And the last one is also vibratory compactors, absolutely out of scope for demolition. Then the last part of the slide is showing you what we can offer in terms of service and technology. In terms of service, we have what we call CVA. CVA is the contract we do offer with machines for the maintenance for the peace of mind, let's say, for the maintenance of your machine and work tools over the time. So with this contract, our dealer, your dealer, is going to take care of the maintenance on the regular basis of your machine and work tools over 5,000, 6,000, 10,000 hours, depending the choice you have done at the beginning. In terms of technology, CAT Command is new, arriving on the market in the US, also in Europe, but it will be spread probably everywhere. This is really popping up everywhere, especially in demolition. We have CAT Detect, which is also brand new. This is a nice device for looking around the machine and detecting any movement, human movement around the machine. Of course, you can imagine this is for safety reasons. We have also Product Link, CAT Payload, which is now integrated in all our next-gen platform. CAT Payload is a weighing system, which is now standard on all our next-gen machine, but something new, which is making a big difference now with what you can find on the market. CAT Payload, so that means the machine is able to weigh in the bucket or in a clamshell or in an orange peel grapple, the real weight for loading trucks, for instance. And now CAT Payload is certified on our machines. That means you don't need to have an official weigh bridge for weighing the load of what is in your truck. So the machine has been now certified in our countries, and this means the machine is able to give you the accurate weight, and this is what you can really invoice at, let's say, a scrapyard or at a different customer. This is something new because that means that with this machine and this technology, you don't need weigh bridge anymore. So that can really simplify your life while operating on job sites a little bit everywhere, where you not often have, let's say, weigh bridges. We also have a new complete Vision Link productivity system. This is a cloud where we can, let's say, monitor all the statistics of activities of your machines. Then we can track absolutely everything about your machine, idle time, the fuel consumption, the AdBlue consumption, the productivity, etc., etc., etc. That's our, let's say, system for monitoring activity of your machine and, of course, of now our work tools. On top of that, for service, we have the CAT Rental Store, we have CAT Finance, and we have also CAT Rebuilt, because we can give now a second or third life at your machine instead of rebuying a new machine. This is also an option. And the CAT Rental Store in global is also very common by CAT. So all this in one slide, you have the complete options or possibilities by CAT. This is what we call one-stop shop. Caterpillar is what we call on the market a full liner. That means we take the control from the design of machine and all work tools to the delivery of the machine and all the services. We have one contact, which is your dealer for all your machine and your work tools and all your services, just one contact for your peace of mind. So next one, please, Mark. What have we launched recently in terms of machine? This is the one we want to highlight now. If you go to on the next slide, Mark, then we start maybe by giving you a quick overview of what is, let's say, the market, demolition market. And this is what you see on the right side, the pyramid in gray you see on the right side of your screen. This pyramid is divided in three portions. The lower part of this pyramid representing 90% of the excavator being used in demolition are what we call standard excavator. Standard and also some, let's say, purpose-built machine like straight boom machine and like VA boom, so variable angle boom machines. So this represents, in fact, if you look at the job site, you will see that 90% of those machines are represented as standard excavators. Those rich machines, the standard one, you could also use maybe in earth moving application. But ours in demolition are, of course, a little bit more tailor-made, but also some straight boom machine, which are quite common in Europe and in the US, for instance. And the second portion in the middle, representing 8% of the total, is what we call ultra-high demolition. And ultra-high demolition, the definition, official definition of what is an ultra-high demolition machine, starts at 20 meter up to 32 meter in terms of pin height. That means between the ground level and the top of my boom, of my ultra-high boom, when my boom is in vertical position, from 20 meter up to 32 meter, then this is the official definition of what is an ultra-high demolition machine. And above 32 meter, this is super large X, super large UHD machine. And so you can go from 33 meter to which is, let's say, infinite, we could say. But the largest machine I have seen, let's say in Europe, was a machine with a pin height at 72 meters. So extremely big machine with a telescopic boom. So this represents the volume of the complete market, all the machines that you can see on the demolition side. And in fact, Caterpillar is present in all of these segments with standard product coming from us, designed and produced from us. And this is 98% of the total machine we can deliver today, we have in our portfolio, and working now on the last portion of the top of the pyramid. When we are talking about demolition machines and ultra-high demolition machine, we often compare the height of the building, or this is how we materialize this, or how we benchmark the machine. We refer always in terms of pin height, that means the height of our building, or also the story. So one story being 3 meters, let's say. So we are always referring to the pin height of in terms of meters or in terms of story. Next slide, please. Mark. Now, what have we done for the last 12 months? We have launched recently, for the last 12 months, 2 new machines in our demolition portfolio, 2 straight boom machines. So on the next slide, you will see that now we have 3 different straight boom machines. And we had already the 340 straight boom, SB4 straight boom, which is a 40-tonner. We have added, for the last 12 months, a 30-tonner, the 330 straight boom, and the 352 straight boom, a 52-ton excavator. I will show you on the next slide, not now, but I will show you on the next slide what is the purpose of the straight boom machine. But in fact, with those 3 machines, what is important, and this is what the decision maker for the customer, what are you looking for when looking at a straight boom machine? 2 parameters are key for making the decision. One is the pin height. That means we in demolition are working in the air, mainly a little bit below ground level, but the majority of the time we are working in the air. So what we want to have as high stick pin height as possible. This is the first parameter we are looking at. And the second one is, what is a work tool's weight this machine is able to lift up at this height. And those 2 parameters are making the decision from the size of the machine that you need or that you are going to purchase. I give you just a simple example, the 352 straight boom here. So this machine is able to lift up in the air a work tools of 6 tons at 13 meters. This is exactly, if you look at all the bridges, highway bridges or railways bridges, this is exactly the right size of machine with the right size of work tools we need for this application. So if a customer is working in this application, having often bridges to demolish, this will be the perfect match for this application. So going now on the next slide, here you have represented the difference between a straight boom machine and a normal standard machine that we call by Caterpillar reach. So on the left side of your screen, you have a reach machine. So in fact, we have your base machine plus 1 boom and 1 stick and your work tools. In fact, on the reach, you see that this boom is bent. He has a profile like a banana. This is what we call the ridge boom. This is the design of the machine you are used to see for earth moving. Now, on the right side of your screen, your machine is on the same base, as you can see, on the same red line. Then we have this straight boom, by definition, because the boom is straight instead of being bent. And the purpose is very simple. We want to be as high as possible in the air for accessing, for reaching our building, and for being able to demolish it. What's the difference between both? As you can see, we have two white portions on this graph, right and left. And as you can see, we have this white portion of the graph is representing the working area, the working range of our machine. And on the right side, you can see that the white area is bigger in the air compared to the one we have on the left side for the earth-moving machine, where we have a smaller working area. Because a reach machine is meant for mainly digging, loading, of course, so going in the air for loading, but not really for demolition. That's why we are maximizing with the straight boom machine, the working envelope being in the air, because this is our target. We are working above ground level, and we want to be able to access as high as possible. This is the real purpose and the real difference between what is a standard excavator, if I can say that, so a reach machine or earth-moving machine, and a dedicated straight boom machine, dedicated for demolition. You will never see a straight boom machine on an earth-moving job site. Doesn't make sense. This machine is designed and really tailor-made for the demolition application, and to be able to lift up as high as possible on very heavy work tools, because this is what we need. On the next slide, we have here materialized in practice what it means. So with those three machines we have now, with those three straight boom machines, you can see that with a 330 straight boom, we are able to access 2 to 3 story with a work tools weight of 3.2 tons. With a 340 straight boom, 3 to 4 story with a work tools of 4.2 tons. And with the 352 straight boom, we are able to demolish at 4 to 5 story with a work tools at 6 tons. Again, this is our strategy, what we need to have in our application to work in the air and to be able to lift as heavy as possible in the air. Why are we looking at heavy work tools in the air, if I can say that? Because heavy work tools means, if you look now at the details, that means bigger work tools with bigger opening and with bigger crushing or cutting capability. So the heavier work tools you have, the more you can break in one shot or in several shots, but the more you can break. And then, of course, you need a certain kind of machine able to operate these heavy work tools in safe condition. So that's the difference between straight boom machine and, let's say, a reach machine or standard machine. Next slide now. We are going quickly to see the key, let's say, features of this machine. So this 330 straight boom we have launched two machines, the 330 with the 352. So we have a boom of 6.5 meter with 2 options of stick, short stick of 2.6 meter or long stick of 3.2 meter. We have on this machine all the hydraulic circuit we need for operating hydraulic work tools. We need high pressure line, double way, medium pressure line, when needed also a drain line, of course, and the quick coupler line. Everything is being standard on those machines. We have reinforced lightning. We are working often in the evening, especially when you are doing, for instance, bridge demolition. This machine has been designed for being able to lift up a multiprocessor from CAT MP324 plus a quick coupler. And if you look at the weight, the total weight of this couple, MP324 plus coupler, this is exactly 3.2 tons. So the machine will be stable 360 degrees with this 3.2 tons. We have a specific demolition cabin. This is not the same cab as you have for earth moving. We need additional protection. Potentially, demolition is risky. We never know. You have some projections, so you never know what can happen. So you need some extra protection. Extra protection, this is the fences. You can see the guards you can see on the top of the cab or in front of the window, but also specific reinforced windows. This is not a normal glass we have on those cabin. This is really meant for resisting to shocks and to projections, which could potentially happen when something fall on ground level. So all these features are specific to those straight boom machine or to those demolition machine. This machine is also ROPS compliant from factory, so you don't need to recertify this on the machine. ROPS mean roll over protective system. So this is a system for being sure that if the machine rolls over, for instance, for any reason, it's an unstable situation and the machine starts rolling over, then we want to be sure that the cabin is not going to be crushed, because we have the operator in the cab, of course. So this is also a safety system being certified for being sure that the machine and the operator will be safe if in case of issue. Next slide is showing the straight boom machine, but this time the 352, the 52 ton. This is exactly the copy paste in terms of features. We have exactly the same conditions, but of course this is the largest machine, able to lift up to 6 ton in the air. We have increased the pin height by plus 36% versus a standard let's say machine of moving excavator. Those machine, which is valid for across the line for the straight boom, have the latest technology Caterpillar offers standard on all our machines, which is CAT payload, the automatic weighing system, but you can have also CAT 2D for off moving if needed. This machine is not meant for digging, for off moving, but at the end of your job site, you need sometimes also to clean up or to dig a little bit the foundations. So this could be done. It's not the first purpose of the machine, but it can be done. So we have also the 2D system on this machine standard. We have e-fence. E-fence is what we call the safety bubble of the machine. We can, let's say, draw a safety bubble around the machine for limiting the movement of the machine for safety reasons or for any reason. If I want to dig, for instance, at 2.5 meters, so I can adjust the limit at 2.5 meters and being sure that the machine is not going deeper. The same for sailing, the same for the front of you. So this we draw really a safety bubble, and the machine will operate in this bubble according to what you have decided. We have on this 352 something specific which is not existing on the two other models, the 30 or 40 tons. We have optional and removable counterweight, counterweight of almost 12 tons, so 11.3 tons plus the mechanism. In total, this makes 12 tons. And for transportation reason, depending the country where you are, this is really sometimes a challenge to move machines, and I'm sure everyone understands what I say here. This is really a challenge in terms of dimension, in terms of width, in terms of weight, country by country. I know, for instance, in the US, this is state by state. The rules are not the same. So it's the same for us in Europe. You have countries where it is extremely strict, like Italy, for instance, where you need to have some, let's say, features like this one for having a lighter machine for being able to transport it easily. This machine are also all equipped with automatic reversing fan. We are working in a dusty environment, and we need to clean up on a regular basis our cooling package, because if you have too much dust on your cooling package, then you are going to create a lot of heat on your hydraulic system, which means you are going to have a much more fuel consumption. So more heat means that you need more fuel to cool down the heat of your oil. So that's why we have this automatic reversing fan on all the models for cleaning up your cooling package on a regular basis. Standard, it's every 20 minutes. You can tailor-make the timing as you want. But again, this is part of the specific features we have on demolition machines, because we have also specific requirements. Those machines are also equipped with a specific demolition cab with deluxe cab and premium seat for better comfort of our operator. So this is for the two new machines we have launched those last 12 months. If we go now on the next slide, Mark, this is a short video showing you what is a 352 straight boom machine. So right. As you can see,
before we press on, Gilles, I'll let you come back to the 352 in a second. We've got lots and lots of questions. So if you want to round off the 352, and then we'll get to the questions. But I'll take me off screen. If you'd like to carry on with the 352, and then we'll come back with the questions in just a moment.
Okay. Just finishing by telling you, as you have seen, strong machine, very powerful and very efficient. When you look at the work-to weight capability of this machine, and fuel consumption has been reduced drastically. So a top machine today on the market for this specific application. So awesome. Let's go for the question.
Okay. Well, the first question comes in two parts actually. So Dan Cullen has said, question: has Caterpillar made any new improvements in attachments compared to other manufacturers? And then, I mean, my answer to that would have certainly been the tracker, because I think the tracker is a big benefit. And he also then goes on to say, how long does the tracker battery last in an attachment?
Okay, so I will come on this topic for the tracking device because I have a specific slide on this, but I can answer right now. The battery lasts 2 years. After 2 years, you have to replace not the battery, but the complete device. I will explain it to you later. It's an extreme smart, we will see the detail, what is behind this. It's an extreme smart system in terms of technology for monitoring your fleet, machine and work tools, but here in this case, work tools. You will see how smart it is and what the benefit you can get from it. But answering your question, 2 years, after 2 years, you have to replace a complete device, a small box. It's a small box like this that you have to replace. We are working on improving the lifetime of the battery, and because it's a question of lifetime of battery, we are working on this, but for the moment, 2 years, yes.
Okay, well, speaking of electric power, will you be producing electric or hydrogen-powered demolition equipment?
That's a very, let's say, not complex, but difficult question, because for the moment, the technology by itself, being fully electric by battery or by fuel cell, hydrogen, etc., we control this technology. We have the control of this technology. We have this technology. So we would be able, let's say, to have machines having this new electrical, let's say, or power system. That's not the only one issue in this topic, let's say. We need to think about what is possible. We have to look at the complete picture. Having an electrical machine, yes, that's could be easy to do. And to be frank, it's not complex. We can replace our engine by batteries, and that could be done easily. But the point is, you have to then regenerate or refill your battery on a regular basis. When you are in the middle of nowhere, when you are demolishing, you don't have the capability to refill because you don't have the network. The network has not been meant in the cities for such high energy. So our problem is not to, let's say, develop or introduce on the market such kind of technology as the one you were mentioning. The point is that we have to look at the complete picture, and today there is no optimal solution for that. So we are still continuing to work to find out the right answers to this question. But for the moment, we do not have the right answer to this question. And to be frank, if you look what you have on the market today, the solutions you have are very limited and does not match with what you are requiring in terms of efficiency on your job site.
Okay, well, I always like it when this happens. We've got a question here, but we've also got an answer. So Gary Muirhead has said, will you be producing Caterpillar crushers for the demolition market? And then somebody called Julian says, hello, Gary. If you're talking about crushers mounted on excavators, they already exist. P300 PP and P200 PS. Check it out.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to add too much to that.
For the first question, crusher, of course, we should define what it means. Are we referring to mobile or static crushers? On demolition job site, often we see also some mobile crushers. So this is not in our portfolio and not in scope for the moment to have this in our portfolio. But if you are referring to crushers or pulverizers, the wording is different, but the task is the same at the end. Then we already have an offer in our portfolio for crushers or pulverizer being mounted on excavators. If you are referring to that, yes, we have a portfolio of work tools for that. But if you are referring to a mobile crusher or static crusher, no, we do not have, and it's not in scope.
Gary Fitz over on Instagram is agreeing with you. There is no infrastructure for electric, but while we're on the subject of that, Gary has also asked the question, do you supply a factory fit dust suppression system for all your equipment?
So there is two answers to this one. The first one is no, and the second is yes. So that means no, from factory, we do not have for the moment a water spray system installed from factory. But on the other side, all our dealers have specific solutions that they are retrofitting on all their machines when the customer is asking it. So the solution exists, but this is a solution retrofitted by our dealers locally.
Okay. Dan Cullen says, well, that's great. Don't see too many straight boom excavators in the UK at the moment. When are they available? They're already here. I can tell you, Armac have got a couple.
Mm-hmm.
And just before you answer that, I'm also going to say Al Grierson from Luxembourg has just joined. He says, we've already got a 330 straight boom in Luxembourg. Need to track down the delivery status. I think you probably know that better than I would, but
that's this is available. Yes, those three models are available. Then, of course, there is always this question of delivery time. But yes, this is something which is available.
Okay. Does any of your equipment come with extending undercarriage?
For the straight boom machine, no. For the ultra high demolition machine, yes. For the straight boom machine, no. This we could envisage to have it. This is also something we have thought about when we have done the market study before to develop the machines. But for let's say for such size of machine and the market we are targeting, the cost of having an extended or variable undercarriage on straight boom machine would be difficult to sell. So no.
Okay, next question. Dan Cullen says, what is the maximum hydraulic flow for cat attachments and machine? I'm not entirely sure you'd have that readily to hand, but I'm asking the question anyway.
So this is a big question because it depends on the size of the machine itself, of course. If we look at a 352 straight boom, for instance, or which one, we have 2 pumps delivering 300 liters, so in total able to deliver 600 liters. But for the largest machine, we can go up to 1,000 liters. We have 2 pumps of 500 liters. So it's really depending size by size of machines. But be sure of something. I told you at the beginning, we are full liner. We have the control and the design of the machine and the design of our work tools. That means our both design departments, machine and work tools, are aligned for designing the right work tools for the right machine. So if you need flow, if you need pressure, this is there. And the machine and all the work tools have been designed exactly with those requirements. So yes, on this point of view, don't worry, you will get the flow and the pressure you need for your work tools, cut or non-cut.
Andy Darville, who is a high-reach demolition excavator driver, says having a reverse fan is 100% needed. Great addition to be on all machines. Dan Cullen, I think I know the answer to this already, but on a 352, can you use a heavier counterbalance for balance on longer reach if you can change the demountable weight? I'm not entirely sure why you'd need to, unless you want to go with a heavier tool, but I'll throw it over to the expert.
Yeah. On a pure, let's say, design point of view, we could say, we can imagine this is possible. But, the structure has been designed for a certain, let's say, offset and certain weight of work tools. You are offsetting. And then if you increase the weight of your work tools too much, if you exceed, for instance, on a 352, I told you 6 tons, you can imagine that you can have a larger work tools at 6.5 or 7 tons. But the structure of the machine has been designed for 6 tons with the offset of, let's say, 10 or 12 meter or 13 meter in this case. Putting much more weight on the backside of the machine, for instance, of course, you are going to impact the structure of the machine. So that's not recommended.
Okay.
You can have just a small addition here. You can have, if you have a 6.5 work tools instead of a 6 ton that we are recommending, you can do it. Of course, the machine is able to lift it and to play with it. But of course, this will reduce your reach. You're working envelope.
Andy Dalvella says, do you have the option of a tilting cab on the straight boom machines?
No. This was a question because, again, when we launch something new, machine or work tools, we make what we call voice of customer, a survey. We are visiting customer everywhere in different parts of the world, and we ask them what are the requirements you need for this machine we want to develop. For instance, a 352 straight boom. Do you want a tilting cab? Yes or no? Do you want undercarriage variable hydraulically? Yes or no? And at the end of the day, we make, let's say, we look at what the majority of the people are telling us, and this was not a requirement.
Okay.
This exists. This has existed, and this exists. This could be done, but this is not what the majority of the customer are requiring.
Do you see yourself producing a demo machine bigger than a 352?
In terms of straight boom, no, the market doesn't require it. It can happen, of course. You can have a spot request somewhere in the world for a 360. In this case, for us, it would be a 374. But no, the market is not there. Absolutely not.
Another one from Gary. Does it come with a quick change boom option?
On this straight boom machine, if it is a question of the straight boom machine, no. This is a dedicated, purpose-built machine only for straight boom. But the boom coupling option, yes, exists on the UHD machine, the one you see in my back.
Right, okay. I've got one more question, and then I've got one statement, which two more statements, actually. So I'll do the question first, which is this from Steve Williamson, who is an operator as well. What do you think of the OLED front window showing cameras and settings, etc., rather than looking at a screen? I'm assuming you've seen those at the various exhibitions.
So what we have this already. This is not OLED, but we have this already in our UHD machine. So we have monitors. We have 1 or 2 monitors and a repeater in our demolition cab. Here, for a UHD machine, for instance, the cab is tilting. And then, of course, we want to keep the operator keeping the line of sight when he's working in the air. So for doing this, we have, yes, one screen, let's say, at the bottom of the machine, but we also have one screen for the camera, with the camera at the top of the machine, with a repeater for the stability monitoring system. So this is not on a screen, but this is already existing. But for the straight boom machine, as it is not tilting, we have not only one monitor at the bottom of the machine. So because the machine is not going as high, so with the pin 8 of 13 meter, you have to apply this rule of 1/2 for seeing the real working, let's say, point of your work tools. So the guy being in a cab doesn't really need to have at this height of 13 meter, a tilting cab. So we don't need to have an additional screen in the cab.
Okay, two statements before we carry on, and then I'll hand the show back to you. Michael Lawyer has just said, always on point, Gilles, awesome piece of equipment. And this one I thought was very, very good. Gary Muirhead says, I'm sure Mr. Benjamin Holt and Mr. C.L. Best would be very proud of the demolition equipment that you've produced. Yes.
Me too. Me too. Believe me, me too.
Right, Gilles, I'm going to hand it back to you. I'm going to take myself completely out of this again. I'll put your slides back up, and you're back doing your thing.
Okay. All right. So quickly, this is not new, but I have just two slides for showing you what we also do offer in terms of ultra high demolition machine. Again, as you have seen in the detail in the pyramid, this represents also a portion of what is being used in demolition. So if you go on the next slide, we do offer two machines. In fact, we do offer a 58 tons, 59 ton excavator that we call the 340. So the concept is quite simple. As you can see, we have a base machine with a boom coupling, hydraulic boom coupling system, on which we can have up to 4 different front parts, 2 UHD front parts, 22 meter and 25 meter. Of course, depending the length of your UHD front, the work tools weight capability is different. So if you choose to have a 25 meter boom, you will be able to lift up 3.3 tons at 25 meter. But for 22 meters, if you choose this one, then you will be able to lift up 3.7 tons. Unique on the market. On this size class, you look at everything being on the market, we are the only one being able to lift up so heavy work tools as this pin 8. Then we have 2 additional tools, what we call short front. The first one is number 3 coming from the top of the list when you see the screen. So we call it retrofit. This is a mechanical variable boom. So here, this boom is very popular, really popular everywhere. The majority of the customers are buying such kind of machine, buys always a machine with 2 booms, one long front and one short front. And the short front is mainly the retrofit one. So you can adjust this retrofit boom in bent position, so the banana boom position, or the straight position for straight boom position. So, but this is adjusted or positioned mechanically. And the last one is what we call the VA boom, the variable angle boom. It does exactly the same as the retrofit does, but this is done here hydraulically. So it's a VA boom because our boom, as you can see on the slide, our boom has an additional cylinder, and this cylinder is modifying your cinematic, is modifying your working envelope. And this is also an option, not really popular, except in some region or some countries. For instance, for us in Europe, this VA boom, the last one we have on the screen, on the list here, is very popular in Italy. And this is also extremely popular in Japan. For the rest of Europe and for the US, the majority of the customers prefer to have the retrofit, the mechanical adjustable boom. This is not a question of being better or not. This is just a question of habits of habits of the country, habits of the customers, to be frank. So this machine here, with those 4 different booms, we have also different kind of sticks, length of sticks. The machine is ready for any quick coupler because we have a quick coupler circuit standard for this machine. We have on this machine what we call the monitoring, the stability monitoring system. We have in a cab an electronic device informing you live about the stability of your machine. As you may know, we are offsetting a work tools in front of us for touching our building. And this is also something that has to be taken into consideration when you are rotating 360 degrees. That means at a certain moment, the machine could potentially go down, so in front. So this is what we want to avoid. We want to be sure that the operator will always operate in safe condition. This is really our, let's say, obsession, to be sure that the operator is safe. So we have this this stability monitoring system for informing live the operator about the position of the tool and the position of his equipment, let's say. We can swap, because as we have different booms, we can swap the short front to the long front, for instance, in 30 minutes with one person, so the operator alone doesn't need any mechanics, or 2 people. We can do it with 2 people in 15 minutes. So extremely quick. Everything is done. You have a hydraulic boom coupling system, and you have all hydraulic connectors for the hydraulic lines. These machines are also delivered with ease of use. You have to draw this safety bubble, as I told you at the beginning, for the short front. This machine can be delivered with 2 different undercarriages. Someone asked the question before. With a fixed undercarriage, narrow undercarriage, or with a variable hydraulic undercarriage, retracted at 3 meters, extended at 4 meters. The target, of course, is to be as stable as possible when we are at work. So we are going to extend our undercarriage for being really stable while working. But on the other side, we have always this problem of transporting the machine, and we have to look at the width of the machine itself. That's why we can retract our undercarriage at 3 meters as minimum. Those machines are ready for also having additional work tools camera at the top of your stick, of your long front, for instance, and also water spray ready. If the customer wants to have a water spray system on a machine, then everything is already on the machine itself for avoiding to have to add and to weld on the structure. We want not people re-welding the structure. So everything has already been anticipated. You just have to screw tubes for installing your water spray system. On the next slide, you have the second machine we offer. We have this one. This gives you an idea of what are the different booms we offer. From the left side, we have the UHBD front, so the long one. The 2 in the middle is the retrofit boom in 2 positions, the bent position like a banana boom, or the straight position as a straight boom machine we have seen. And the one being completely at the right side of your screen is what we call the VA boom, or the 2-piece boom, because the boom is here, as you see, activated by an additional cylinder, which gives you a different working envelope. On the next slide, you have the 352 machine, same concept as what we have seen before on the 340. This is more or less a 70-ton excavator. But for this one, we have only 2 booms, 28 meter. 28 meter, we are able to lift up 3.7 ton, again, alone on the market with such a work tools weight at this pin height. And the retrofit boom, the rest is completely identical as a 340 in terms of undercarriage, in terms of cabin, in terms of stability monitoring, in terms of features, etc., etc. So same concept. So that's not new, but this is just for giving you a complete picture of what Caterpillar is able to offer in our portfolio. Now let's go on the next slide to have a look at the work tools. So what we recently introduced. On the next slide, you will see the first one, and the first one is the CW fully automatic coupler. So this is mainly for the European customers because it's extremely popular, extremely famous in Europe. not so much in some other parts of the world. But in Europe, the CW platform, the former Ferrata platform, was already well-known and certified over the time quick coupler system, mechanical or hydraulical. But now with this version, as you can see on the picture on the left side, now we can connect in a second means in 5-10 seconds, we can connect mechanically our tool with our stick, with our linkage, but at the same time, we can also connect the jumper lines. So in 10 seconds, we have the work tools being ready to operate. Nothing to do anymore. You don't need to go out of your machine for connecting jumper lines or connectors. No need to do that. And the benefits of that, you are saving time. You have also, let's say, the peace of mind, because there is no risk for your operator. When you remove connectors like this and jumper lines, there is always the risk that you have hot oil projections, for instance, or problems when you are using work tools. You don't need to do that anymore. This is a new generation and full automatic coupler. Be sure that in the next 5 years, 5 to 6 to 8 years, everyone is going to switch with a full automatic coupler system, whatever the system is. By CAT, we have 2 different systems. This one, the HCCW, based on the CW platform, but also the HCS, based on the S, the symmetrical design platform, which is also quite popular in the US and in Europe. So this is really a trend popping up in the market, in the demolition segment for sure, where people, for safety reasons, also for saving time, and for comfort for the operator, of course, wants to have more and more such kind of automatic systems for their fleet. That's the first work tools. So the first new work tools we have introduced recently. When you go now on the second slide, you will have a quick, if I remember well, a quick video of this system. So we have launched 3 models, as you have seen, but we continue to deploy the lineup, and we have a complete lineup for in the coming months with the new model, the bigger model, for having a complete offer for all the customers today already working with CW couplers. The big benefit of that for them, for those already working with CW couplers, is the fact that they can reuse their existing bucket without any modification, nothing to retrofit. So in terms of cost savings, that's a big one. Yeah.
Okay, I will bring the well, 2 things. I will bring the slides back in a second, but we've had some more questions, as we always do. First one is from Al Grierson in Luxembourg. Does Caterpillar make a hydraulic boom quick coupler like the Komatsu K100 system or the Hitachi K-Teg oil quick boom change system?
So one answer, one comment. So no. No, because when we have developed our new next-gen machines, the next-gen UHD machine, this was a question we had at that time. for should we develop such kind of, let's say, quick coupling system, the same as the car 100, for instance. So for the moment, we do not have it. And then the comment is, this is a complex, on a maintenance and design point of view, this is a complex system. The point is also that when you add complexity on such a machine with a quick coupler system, you are also adding cost. The point is, what is the limit of that? What is the break-even point of that between the cost and the benefits? We swap our booms in 15 minutes, as said, or 30 minutes, depending if it is 1 or 2 people. Let's say 15 minutes. With the K100 or an equivalent oil quick, you do it in 1 minute. Let's say with the time. So you save 40 minutes. How many times? This is a question, not an answer. How many times do you swap such long front on a job site? So you install it, your long front when the machine arrives on site. You make one swap here. Then you will do the same probably when the machine is leaving the job site. But in between, how many times are you really swapping? So where is the break-even point between investing in this system and the maintenance you have to look at this? Because we don't know what will happen over the time with such a concept. The idea, of course, is great. Huh? There is no discussion on that. Huh? But this is a point, and for the moment, we are still in thinking about that.
More technical question: are there hydraulic connectors on the arm of a screw type?
No. This is what we call flat face connectors.
Okay. Dan Cullen wants to know the life expectancy of a high reach boom.
Life expectancy of a UHD boom, at less, as long as you maintain it properly, as long as you use it in a proper way, there is no limitation in time.
Awesome. And just one question before we move on again. Where is the Caterpillar demolition equipment produced? Is it in Europe?
No, it is not. Our straight boom machine and UHD machine are produced in Japan, in Akashi.
I know. I saw them. Right, Gilles, I'm going to take myself away and I'm going to bring the slides back up. So back to you again.
Okay, good. So next topic is work tools we have introduced last year is what we call Rotary cutter. And Rotary cutter is an interesting work tools for us in demolition too, not only for demolition, but it's an interesting work tools. And this is what I would like to explain a little bit. If you look at the graph we have at the bottom right of our screen, you have the different methods we can use for extracting material, excavating material, we could say also. And this is all is related to the hardness or the softness of the material. So if you look at the left side, we can start with, for soft material, excavating or extracting material with buckets, different kinds of buckets. This can also be done with ripper, as long as, of course, your material is fracturable. It's not, if it's not fracturable, we cannot use a ripper. Then we had, for harder material, we had till now hammers. And when it was really very hard, the method that was the most common was blasting the material. Then we have now introduced a new one in between the ripper, and between the hammer, which is a rotary cutter. This is a tool you have at the top right of your screen. This is a housing with 2 drums, rotating drums with a hydraulic drive motor. And the goal, if I want to summarize it quickly, is to scratch the material. We are going to scratch the material. And what is interesting here, in fact, this is an alternative to the hammer. Why do I say that? So it's not in competition with the hammer, not at all. Huh? It's really an alternative. Why is it an alternative? Because depending the region you are in the world, the legislation or the regulation is more and more strict and difficult. So referring and talking about Europe, I can tell you the customers are really under pressure concerning everything about environment, concerning everything about well-being of the people, etc., etc. So we have to find solution or to offer solution for, let's say, doing less vibration, doing less dust, and doing less noise. And the rotary cutter is, let's say, matching with those three requirements. So sometimes, and I believe, to be frank, that's just a personal thought, that the rotary cutter is going to overpass probably the hammers, especially for when you are working in urban environments, because now you are not allowed to work with hammers next to a school or next to a hospital anymore. This is not allowed anymore. We have more and more, let's say, digital systems, digital networks in our cities, and they are extremely sensitive to vibrations. So hammers is extremely hard in terms of production of vibration. The rotary cutter is also doing vibration, but smoother vibration compared to what hammer does. So this is an interesting, let's say, tool that we are adding in our portfolio, which for certain application can be a really good alternative. And again, due to the strict constraint we have in at least in Europe, but this will be the same situation probably in some other part of the world, you will be forced to offer more and more alternative solutions for fighting against vibration, dust, and noise. And the rotary cutter can be one of these solutions. This is also interesting because this can work underwater without any specific, let's say, retrofit or a compressor line or airline that you need, for instance, to have on a hammer. You can work in any position with a rotary cutter, which is officially not allowed for a hammer. A hammer is meant and designed for working tool down in vertical position. We perfectly know that everyone also is working in horizontal or angle position, tool up. But for the lifetime of your hammer, it's not supposed to work like this. So this can be really an interesting alternative for your job sites and for your also own customers. So on the next slide, we want now. So we have here a small video too for explaining or for showing what a rotary cutter does. Something interesting you have maybe seen on this video, if you compare the material you are extracting with a hammer, you have different sizes of blocks, let's say, when you are hammering. Here, as you have seen on the video, you have a regular size of the material. So the material we are extracting or excavating with a rotary cutter, as you have seen on the video, can be reused for backfilling, which is not the case for a hammer. You have to reprocess your material you have extracted with hammer in a static crusher for getting the right granulometry, the right size of material you granulate you need for backfilling. So such kind of, let's say, features you have using rotary cutter versus a hammer. That's why I'm really believing that it's a good alternative for the future. So continuing. Okay. Oh, except if you have some...
I was going to say a couple of quick things. Gary Muirhead says we call that a rock wheel in this country. We do.
Yeah, rock wheel is a brand, huh? So yeah. we prefer and the competitive brand, of course. So we prefer not to call it rock wheel, but I understand that. Yeah.
On the subject of brand, is that a Caterpillar product or is that another manufacturer with a cat badge on it? Says Gary.
It's a pure Caterpillar product with cat design and cat technical requirements.
Okay, on the subject of attachments, I think your colleague actually, Eric Lafleur, says the work tools are produced in the Netherlands, and then he goes on to say, "We have an amazing factory. Happy to host you for a tour with our cat dealer." Eric, I may take you up on that.
That's right. We produce all, not all, the majority of our hydraulic work tools in the Netherlands. It's a very high-tech factory. Everyone is welcome to visit it when you are in the Netherlands. Don't hesitate to take contact with us. Yeah,
that could be perfect timing because I think I'm going to be in the Netherlands at the end of July, but that's a whole other story. I will get back, but our last film is going to be quite a long one. So before we get to that, I think it's about time we found out who won one of our breaker giveaways. So let me put that up on the stage and let me hit the draw button right now and let's see who's won it. Steve Williamson, all the way up in Bonnie, Scotland, has won the first of our cap breakers. Steve, I've probably got your address, but I will check just to be absolutely sure. But you are very much in. You're on the winning streak. Here's somebody who's just popped into the chat. I'm just going to throw this up very quickly. Adrian McLean from Armac has just joined us. Good evening, Adrian. Thank you very much for being here. And he's just joined the competition as well. So the first one of those is going to Steve Williamson. But yes, that's great news. And Al Griston says, "Congrats, Steve." So let me hand back to you. Let me take that away. I'm going to hand back to you. Let me just make sure I'm in the right place.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the also new products we have introduced last year was our pulverizers and crushers. So this is what you see on the right side. So the black tools. So we do use two different words, but this is for the same target. The target is to process concrete and to separate concrete from rebar. We have two options. One option is to have a fixed crusher or a rotating one. So you have, let's say, to make the choice between having a fixed or a rotating. When do we use a fixed? When do we use a rotating? For primary demolition, if you want to use a crusher or pulverizer, doesn't matter the word you want to use. For demolishing the building itself, what we call primary demolition, then you have no choice. You need a rotation, because you have to position your tool in the air for exactly position it in your beam or in your slab, for instance. So no discussion here. You need to have 100% rotation. So what we call P300 by Caterpillar for primary demolition. For secondary demolition, that means working on ground level. Then you have the choice to have a rotated or a fixed one. So what's the difference? Well, that's quite easy. You have, with the rotating, the tool is positioning by itself on ground level. And if you have a fixed one, you have to move the machine. So you make the choice between the rotating and the fixed by moving the machine or moving the work tools, moving the pulverizer. That's the choice you have. But the benefit you have, if you have a fixed one, you have no rotation, so no maintenance to make on this rotation, and you have hydraulic motor with seals, etc. You have parts, of course. Then you have additional weight. This is dead weight. So rotation is not a dead weight because it's being used, but compared to the fixed one, we are lighter, let's say. So less parts, less weight, and you don't need medium pressure line, because the medium pressure line is being used for the rotation. So in terms of investment, the non-rotating version can be interesting, but it's really depending on what you want to do. If you are working on let's say on a reprocessing platform for recycling material, maybe, to be frank, a non-rotating pulverizer can be a good option. Or you make the choice to have a rotating one, but again, in this case, you will have a little bit more maintenance because you have a rotation screw, and you will need to have the medium pressure line on your excavator. But today, also, to be honest, any excavator has high pressure and medium pressure line. So what is the difference? So we have now a complete lineup of, we already had a complete lineup in the past, but the main difference today here, there is two key differences. And two key differences that you will not find out on the market. Absolutely not. And this is where we are really leading in the work tools, let's say, production and design. The first one is our work tools, our pulverizer is equipped, the cylinder is equipped with the technology that we call the speed booster technology. The speed booster technology, this is absolutely unique. This is patented by CAT. No one else can have this feature on their work tools. We have the same technology on our multiprocessor, multiprocessor here and on our pulverizer crusher. This is a valve, a hydraulic valve. This is a combination of the speed valve, very common on the market for the work tools manufacturer, and a booster valve. So you can find on the market work tools with speed valve alone, with booster valve alone, but we have been able to combine both. And if we have combined both, what is the results of that? You can see that with the two numbers being on the screen, we have increased the crushing force up to 21%. But this is not the most important, because the work tools by itself is already powerful enough, let's say. It's interesting to have more power, but it already delivers. The previous generation was already delivering enough force. But let's say it's a cherry on the cake by having more force here. The most interesting that you have to look at is the cycle time. We have divided the cycle time by 2. You see 52% cycle time reduction. What does it mean if you are purely pragmatic? It means your operator with a concrete pulverizer coming from any brand is pushing on a joystick 8 hours for producing, let's say, 100 tons. If you put now the Caterpillar, same size of crusher on the same machine with the same operator, he will do the task in 4 hours. In 4 hours. And this is the beauty of this technology that we call speed booster. We have been able to shortcut the cycle time by half. This is really extreme in terms of performance. And what does it mean for you at the end? Of course, your machine is working less, half time, your pumps are turning less, you are cutting your fuel consumption. You are burning only fuel for 4 hours instead of 8 hours. You are also reducing your AdBlue consumption. This is related also to your fuel consumption. And of course, as you reduce your fuel consumption, you're reducing your emissions, your gas emission, your CO2 emissions. If you look at the complete picture, then no discussion. This is really the only one work tools having those capabilities on the market. In terms of maintenance, in terms of production and performance, you will find nothing equivalent on the market. This is the first features. The second one is what you see on the bottom left of this screen. This was part of your customer requirements when we have made the design, the development of this new generation of pulverizer crusher. And this is we have now wear parts that we can replace one by one in the complete jaw of our machine. That means you don't need to replace a block of teeth in your jaws. You can replace one by one those different wear parts. In terms of cost reduction, I can tell you that's a big game changer. If you see what you can find out often on the market, you have blocks of teeth on your jaws that you can sometimes rotate, sometimes not. But the most important is you are always wearing the tips being at the front of the jaw, not at the back side of the jaw. So you are using only half of your, let's say, wear parts. This is not the case with our system here. We can replace parts one by one. If we go to the next slide, I just ask you 1 minute, please, and I come back.
Oui, vous parlez moins fort, s'il vous plaît. J'essaie de dormir.
Okay, so I'm back. Sorry, I needed to check something. So if we continue with the next slide, for finishing, it's a technology that we have recently introduced. I'm going to speed up a little bit. about that. If you go on the next slide, Mark, you will see we have introduced recently what we call cat command. So cat command, maybe already known for some of you, is a system for remote control. So we can operate machine from far, not so with the operator not being in the cab, and for, of course, safety reasons. So this is now a system available for all our machines from 20 up to 100-ton excavator with two options. We have what we call the line of sight. So you have a small console in your hands and you can operate the machine, as you can see on the picture, from far, but by always having a look at the machine itself. And we have also an option to have the non-line of sight with a big console where you can operate a machine, for instance, from abroad, depending the application you have. So really something which is also coming more and more in the demolition segment, and you can imagine why. This is mainly for the safety reasons. Going on the next slide. This one is what this is a tracker I was mentioning at the beginning. This is a small black box you can see at the top of your screen. With this is really very, very smart. Our engineers, to be frank, they are really smart when they have developed this concept. So we deliver all our work tools today by CAT. All our work tools are delivered with this black box that we call PL161. PL because this means product link. This is our internal vocabulary, let's say. But this small box has internally three things. One is a battery, the second is a sensor, and the last one is a locator. And what is doing this box? This box is doing four things, four functions. And this is where this is really interesting for you. This device is able to locate your work tools, where your work tools is. In fact, it's working by Bluetooth, so there is a Bluetooth emitter in this device, and you need to have a Bluetooth receiver in your car, in your machine. So as long as we know where the machine is positioned, we know where the tool is positioned and linked to the machine. The number two is we can record operating hour of our tool. Working hour means also we can also schedule preventive maintenance. I just would like to mention or highlight something here which is making the difference with some system you can find on the market. We are recording here the real working operating hours. We are not recording the button hours. Most of the system are recording the button hours. That means you push on the button on your joystick and then your hammer works, for instance. But the system is recording the time that you push the button, but you don't know what is at the end of your stick. This is not the case with this system. As this device is linked to each single work tools, we can really know how many hours your hammer have worked, or your bucket, or your crusher, doesn't matter. So that's really an work tools tracker for monitoring the working hours. And then you know, for instance, that you have to make your annual maintenance of your hammer every 1,000 hours, for instance. Then you can upfront know when you have to do your maintenance. Number three is work tools recognition. So the machine is able to recognize which work tools is now connected on this machine, on a machine. Why? Because on the black box, as you can see here, you have a small sticker. This is a unique ID number, and the machine is pairing. You are pairing your work tools with the machine. Knowing this, the machine is able to recognize which work tools it is and will adjust automatically the pressure and the flow unique for these work tools. So if you switch from one hammer to, let's say, one crusher or one scrap grab or one scrap shear, doesn't matter, then the machine automatically will recognize which work tools, the serial number of your work tools, and will set the right flow and the right pressure you need for this specific work tools. It works with any work tools, as long as you have this device on the work tools. And the last information, or the last function of this one, I told you at the beginning that we have this safety bubble that we can draw. So you can define limit for moving your machine over the side, a certain sailing height or a certain depth where you want to go. But of course, it's different if you have a hammer of 2 meters or a scrap shear of 3.5 meters. Then your bubble is also different, becomes different, because the size of the bubbles is different. If I want to go at minus 2.5 meter, if I have a work tools of 2 meter or work tools of 3.5 meter, my bubble is different. So because my work tools length is different. So the machine is able to upload the dimension of the tool and to adapt this safety bubble according to the work tools you have connected on your machine. That's a really nice, let's say, integrated solution, especially for the fleet manager who wants to follow up and monitor their machine and work tools. Next slide. Here, also a small, let's say, improvement we have done. We are continuously trying to find out solution for reducing your cost, for reducing the fuel burn, for improving the productivity, the cycle time, etc. We have developed a specific software. This is valid for our next-gen machine. We have been awarded for that 2 weeks ago with this system. This is a specific software only for boom-mounted shear. And this software is able, when activated, to reduce the jaw open time of your scrap shear by 25% and reducing or cutting your fuel consumption by 20%. Just by adding a simple software in your monitor, you can benefit of a cut of 20% of fuel burn. This is really such kind of technology we continuously develop and implement in our machine, standard or sometimes options, for being sure that you can benefit of the best technology and reduce your cost. If you go now to the next slide, a small example of what we have also developed is what we call hammer auto stop function. This is a function which is also standard on our machines today. You are supposed, when you are hammering, to hammer maximum 15 seconds or 20 seconds. If the stone has not broken after 20 seconds, you are supposed to change the spot, to change the position, the location of your work tools. But often the operator is not doing this. He's abusing, he's continuing to hammer 30 seconds, 40 seconds, 1 minute. And doing this, you are abusing the tool, and you are also, let's say, jeopardizing the lifetime of your hammer. We have developed this function, which is standard now. After 15 seconds, you have a message arriving on the monitor of the machine saying, Mr. Operator, please stop operating. You have reached 15 seconds. He can continue to do that during 15 additional seconds, 30 seconds in total. And then if he doesn't stop, the machine stops automatically your hammer for protecting your assets. Again, such kind of small, I don't know if I can say small, of, let's say, functions or software we are implementing, standard or not, for, again, being sure that we are protecting the asset, we are reducing the cost in terms of fuel, etc., etc. Next one. Such kind of, same as I was just mentioning before, we have now e-fence. This means this safety bubble with hammers, where we can integrate the dimension automatically of your hammer in this safety bubble for protecting and for being sure that you are not going to exceed the limit that you have defined for working with our machine. So next one, please, Mark. That was the last, let's say, a presentation I had, just for giving you an overview of what has been done for the last 12 months on a machine, on the work tools, but also in terms of technology. And we continue, of course, to develop those different features on the machines you can get. Is there some additional questions in the chat, or can we go straight to...
There are always questions in the chat. Daniel Holland has asked, is the PL161 compatible with all of the attachments?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to say good evening from Cormac McLean, who's just said good evening over on Instagram. So we've got father and son in the house as well. Adrian McLean actually says, hi Gilles, the shear boom mounted software is a game changer, especially in the UK due to high cost of fuel, £1.15 per litre and plus VAT this week, he says.
Yeah, I encourage you, if you are working with boom shear mounted, to to look at these features. To be frank, you can really save a lot of cost with such small software that you can add on your machine.
Adrian also says we're seeing more and more boom mounted shears in the demolition workplace. Once they were mainly in scrapyards. All very true.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, a question from Steve Williamson. Do you think a rotation hitch would work in demolition instead of having each attachment with rotating heads?
I have seen that. Recently. Question mark. To be frank, having a rotating head, if I understand well, a rotating head at the top of our stick, at the end of our stick, where we would put work tools. This is more or less a tilt rotator without tilt. Question mark. I don't know yet. It's too fresh. It's too fresh.
That would certainly be my answer on that as well. Was there anything else? Oh yes, there's one important piece of news. Not as important as the Caterpillar equipment. There's one important piece of news that I do need to share, because apparently Scotland are beating Switzerland 1-0 as we speak.
Okay.
Okay. Now this is about the time you want me to play the latest leg of your European tour, right?
Yes, if you agree. So that's something to conclude. Let's say. Just to show you the latest video we shot in site in Poland very recently. First, I would like to thank the customer who agreed to host us, the Trey Group, and in particular Susanna, Thomas, and Carol, who actively collaborated on this project despite the very busy schedule they have, the very busy agenda. Thank you again. Many thanks for them, for their warm, really welcome. So the aim of such a video is to show to let's say the younger generation the appeal of this profession, as well as the personal development and job satisfaction it brings. So the Trey Group, if you don't know, is the biggest demolition company in Poland, and as you will see, demonstrate really impressive expertise in both logistic and execution. I have seen so great job site being done by them. Very impressive. I was really personally impressed by their know-how, which is why we choose them for our European tour. But rather than words, take a look at what we have done for you. So, Mark, if you won't mind launching this video.
Just two things before we do that. We've had another question coming. What model S couplers are available?
We have model of S couplers. So the S is the standard symmetrical platform, very popular in Scandinavia. From from memory, from X60 up to X80, with different model in between.
Okay, and that throws up another question. Obviously, there is this Open S alliance now. We've now seen Wacker and Volvo join. Any plans for Caterpillar to join the alliance?
I would say no. We will not join this alliance. We have our platform is fully compatible with the S platform, but Caterpillar wants to keep the control of the design of their own, let's say, work tools, including couplers. So if you have buckets or work tools with the S brackets, it's fully compatible with the S coupler from Caterpillar. Vice versa is also valid. This is also valid for the full automatic S coupler, the HCS by Cat. But no, we will, let's say, remain, independent in our decisions concerning our design.
Okay. Final thing is I'll be drawing the second and final winner of our prize draw. So if you haven't done so already, follow the instructions at the bottom of the screen there. Type cat into the chat to win the last of the prizes. Now, I need to get this off my hard drive because it was quite a big file. The video we're about to play you is about 11 minutes long. So that means you've got 11 minutes to type the word cat into the chat, but not on Instagram. Everywhere else, but not on Instagram. So let me dredge this from my hard drive and I'll show it to you right now.
Where are you taking us today? Our visit today takes us to Central Europe and more especially to Poland, to Warsaw to be precise, where we are going to see a large-scale demolition site. But I won't say any more. Let's go. Welcome to the Caterpillar European Demolition Tour. Today we are on the site of a former electronic equipment factory near Warsaw in Poland, in collaboration with our dealer Bergera Monroe Poland and the company Tray, which is in charge of this rather demanding and constraining demolition, given the size of the site and above all the deadlines to be met. I hope you will enjoy discovering this organization and know-how of the company Tray and the techniques used on this site with a rather sharp know-how and an impressive fleet of machine and work tools. But let's join immediately our host, who is none other than Thomas. Good morning, Thomas. Nice to meet you. Which is one of the owners of the company Tray, in charge of the supervision of this demolition work on this site. So Thomas, good morning. Thank you for welcoming us on this site for the list imposing. But before visiting it, we would like first of all to know who you are, as well as what are your role and responsibilities on this demolition site.
First of all, in Poland, we are using nicknames for daily activities with friends. So call me Tomek. I am a member of the board and one of the co-owners. My responsibilities are clients, contracts, demolition site, recycling, and things that gives me the biggest pleasure, invoices. Together, Ania, Jarek, Darek, we are working day after day to level up of the brand Tray Group.
So Thomas, you are one of the owners of the company Tray, in charge of this demolition. Can you introduce us the company Tray? What is the history of the company? Where are you based? How many people work there? Where do you operate, for instance? Do you have specific ISO certifications? Have you a specialty in demolition? Such kind of information that people want to know.
Throughout almost 25 years of activity on the market, our company has become a pioneer in the field of comprehensive demolition and complicated earthworks. We have started our adventure in the construction industry around Warsaw with hiring excavators and trucks. Year after year, all income was invested in growth of the company, especially in buying more equipment. The satisfaction of our clients and good financial results assured us that we had chosen the right direction of development, and thus the vision of the future of Tray was shaped. Nowadays, our professional team consists almost 400 employees, among which we have machine operators, drivers, workers specialized in demolition works, engineers and site managers, service and security workers, management administration, office workers. In all activities, we only use equipment from renowned brands, such as Caterpillar. During demolition works, we strive to mechanize activities as much as possible. We care about the safest possible course of work, paying great attention to the efficiency and quality of the devices we use. We know that our actions have an impact not only on the appearance of the nearby area, but also on the quality of the environment. Terror-free, our motto is, by changing the environment, we create a better future.
So Thomas, can you tell us where we are and what type of site it is? Do you know the history of the site or its particularities?
So we are in Piaseczno, a town near to capital city Warsaw. The history of this plant started in the 70s when there were zakłady kineskopowe Unitra Polcolor, a Polish company that produces kinescopers for color televisions and their components. As far as I know, this type of factories were only located in Italy, Mexico and China.
So Thomas, regarding this demolition, what are the main steps of such a job site and what are the challenges you are facing?
Generally speaking, we have to demolish all the buildings on facilities of this 37-hectare sites. That includes among all high chimneys, heating plant and all very deep foundations. We also have to remove all the chemical contaminations. The main challenge during project like this one is very short time. But Gilles, we have 21st century. Catch Carol online. He is a site manager and will tell you much more than I.
Carol, good morning, and thank you for joining today.
Good morning. Hello. Good to see you again. We are currently around 60% advanced. As for the workforce, we have around 50 men on site on a daily basis. We have at this moment 16 excavators, 7 50-tonners and 8 40-tonners for demolition and processing. Other than that, we have 4 aggregated haulers and 2 full sets of crushing and screening units on site. I have a dozer and a roller for backfilling and macro leveling after demolition. So in total, it's 25 units at the moment.
Are you reusing partially this material on site?
Well, we are currently using some debris, crushed debris for technological roads and platforms, etc. But at the end, we are going to get everything from site. We are planning to leave the clean brown field. As for the scrap metal, we are cutting it 100% mechanically using shears, and it goes straight to the steel factory to be reused. As for the concrete, we are hoping to get over 80% material to be recycled near site, like in the Warsaw region.
So, Carol, and in terms of concrete waste or scrap tonnage, what are we talking about in terms of tons here?
For the whole project, we estimate around 20,000 tons of scrap metal to be salvaged. Other than that, over 200,000 tons of debris is expected to be processed on site and then removed. For other waste, I'm estimating over 1,500 tons of roofing felt and around 25,000 cubic meters of isolation materials such as rock wool.
Quite impressive numbers of debris to be processed.
So thank you, Thomas. And if now you make us discover this demolition site, what it still remains?
Let's go.
So much of the work is done upstream of the demolition. This involves the quotation phase of the site and preparing it before to start demolishing. This is where Susanna's team comes in, and they agreed to meet us in their office and workshop today to explain these 2 crucial phases to us. So, Susanna, good afternoon. Can you tell us in a few words how you can put a figure on such a demolition project?
Okay, so first, it's very nice to host you here in our headquarters. And about the bidding process, it's not easy. The very first step is, after we got inquiry from our client, is to go site visit. You need to see with your own eyes the buildings, conditions, access for the heavy equipment, for the trucks. We also check any documents from archives or designs, if there are any, because often there's none. And we form our own bill of quantities that is adjusted to our own calculating methods. For example, we take into account the amount, the type of wastes we can obtain from the demolition, if there are any materials that we can recycle or reuse. And after that, we go to technical parts. Technical part is about choosing the right technology for the demolition and the right equipment, and of course calculate its cost. For this, here we use our experience, our knowledge, our databases, so it's basically our know-how. For more requiring projects, like bigger projects, alongside with our colleagues from other departments, we do some brainstormings to double check if we calculate everything and to calculate the risks. And additionally to the machines, to the waste, etc., we also take into account all the administrative works that have to be done, all the permissions that need to be obtained, renting like additional area for the site, security works if we've got very close neighborhoods, etc. And of course, all the time for all the bidding process, we stay in touch with the clients.
So Susanna, one more question for understanding a little bit about the process itself. Is there a specific process for staging the various stages of demolition? For each building, who decides what's the process here?
Each case varies. There are different types of building, different sites, but usually there are some phases that we almost always perform. And these are like preparatory works, the construction of the building, sorting and waste management, and cleaning the site. But for the big projects like Polcolor plant, that is very demanding, very big, and has got very unusual facilities like glass factory with some chemicals left after the production. They had their own heating plants, so there were chimneys, there were silos. There were 17 hectares of buildings that had to be demolished with the foundations. Remediation has to be done, and also like 38 hectares of macro leveling the whole site to prepare it for the new investment. But the most important case that we have to adjust our schedule and our work progress to the schedule that is imposed by an investor and prepared for the new investment.
So here, my friends, the conclusion of these visits of a demolition site in Poland. I hope that, like us, you enjoyed discovering the earth of such a demolition site, and particularly the rigor required for the preparation and execution. Everything is well thought out, well managed, well organized. The demolition site is free and clean, thus ensuring maximum productivity and safety for the people and for the machines. I'm particularly impressed by the know-how of the Tray company, which is leading this site with a masterly hand. It remains for me to thank the company that hosted us, Tray, for its help and flexibility. I give you an appointment for the next visit on the demolition site in another European country very soon. With there also very interesting challenges to see. See you soon, and I would end by saying, as usual, stay tuned, stay safe.
That is one awesome film. What a fantastic company.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, very knowledgeable company in Poland. To be frank, we are leading the demolition like hell, and very good expertise for the demolition. Yeah, good example for us.
Yeah, it really is. It's always nice to see what's happening in other countries. That, there was a time probably 15, 20 years ago where you'd go to a foreign country and you think, well, maybe the Brits do things better. There's some fantastic demolition companies and some fantastic demolition work happening elsewhere as well now.
Definitely, yeah.
Jonathan Duras has just said, fantastic video. Eric Lafleur has said, thank you for your insights, customer Tray. Ken Hatcher has said, good video. Steve Williamson says, now we're talking. Let's have a look. Demo Darv, that's Andy Darvell, who works for AR Demolition, says, now that's a proper site. Looks like the site I'm working on, absolutely massive.
Yes.
Great brand loyalty. We need a company like that in the UK. I think we've got a few, actually, to be perfectly honest.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jim Turner says this, I fully agree. Presentations of current and new technologies need to be shown to kids if we're going to encourage the next generation of plant operators into the industry. Also set the seed for a more diverse workforce in the future. You said at the very outset that was one of your aims, to actually encourage the next generation.
Yeah. Now, this is what we want. We want to be part of, let's say, the education of the new generation. The customer knows the practice. We know how to develop machine, how to use machine, and how to develop and use work tools. And the combination between the practice of the customer and us, designers, manufacturers, can really be a good one for the new generation arriving. But we also need to teach them.
Here's a good one. Gary Muirhead has just said, what do you think of the Jumbo, an amazing Caterpillar equipment machine used to produce a wonderful demolition machine? It is some piece of kit, isn't it?
Yeah. I was last week with Despe, so owner of this machine. Great machine, to be frank, very, very impressive. Probably a challenge to move it, to transport it.
Particularly in Italy, yeah.
When you are reaching 200 tons, for sure, it becomes a challenge for everyone, everywhere in the world. But very strong machine, to be frank, and for the moment performing extremely well. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, I think that's just about all of our questions. I'm just rattling back through. No, I think we've got all of the questions. So let me bring up onto the screen this, and let's see who's won the second of our giveaways. Here we go. Chris
All
Ford, who is a
right.
regular on our show. Fantastic stuff. Congratulations,
Excellent.
Chris.
Yeah.
That's awesome stuff. So, Steve Williamson and Chris Ford, you are winners this evening. Fantastic. And I just want to say thank you to your colleague, Bert Gilles, because he supplied the prizes, which is fantastic.
You're welcome. So thank you, everyone, for participating today, I would say. I hope you have enjoyed this presentation of Caterpillar's new product and the video made by the Tray company, whom I would like to again thanks for their help. And let's see us next time for a new emission. Yeah.
Absolutely. Gilles, you already know this, but I'm going to say it anyway. The door is always open. Whenever you want to come on, you just say the word and we'll make space for you, because we get comments like that. Jim Turner just says, Mark, please pass on my thanks for this evening. I only saw the last part as I'm still working, but I've listened to it all. Very informative and well explained, he says.
Thank you.
And Gary Muirhead, just to tail things off, says, thank you, gentlemen. Wonderful evening. Wow.
Perfect.
I was sat in the background just pressing buttons. So thank you, Gilles, because you made it a fantastic evening. And Al Grierson says, thank you very much, Gilles. Really informative. Hope to get my eyes on the 3:30 straight boom over in Luxembourg. Well, you're speaking to the right guy.
Oh, okay. No problem. We can check this.
Awesome. Okay, Gilles, it's been an absolute pleasure, as it always is. Thank you very much indeed for giving up your evening. And I know you're an hour ahead of me, so you're it's nearly 10 o'clock where you are, isn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, what's left of your evening, enjoy, but thank you so much for being here. Thanks for all your input. It's been absolutely fantastic. Steve and Chris, I'll be getting your prizes out to you in the next couple of days. But that's just about it, everybody. You can go and have your evening. I don't know if Scotland are still winning, but if they are, come on, you Scots.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening.
Thanks, Gilles. Speak to you soon.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
And that's it. We're out, people. Everybody go and have a fantastic evening, because as you all know, I've got about 15 minutes to get to an airport that's 25 minutes away, give or take. So if you hear the sound barrier being broken, that will be me. Everybody go and have a fantastic evening. Really appreciate all your input this evening. Thank you for all the questions, as always. Thanks for all the statements as well. Always well worth it. And I don't need to say it, Gilles. I think that's his third. I think he does the hat trick, actually. That's his third time on the show, and he's been excellent value every single time. Steve says, is it 10 a.m. yet? If it wasn't for picking up my good lady wife from the airport, I would quite happily sit here and chew the fat all evening, but I do have to do that. And Gary Muirhead, oh dear, 1-1 at half time. And I don't even have the opportunity to go and have a look at it. I may listen to it on the radio. But come on, you Scots, see what you can do. Dan Cullen says, you go, Mark. I'm going to. I've got to get out of here. And Jim says, thanks, Mark. No problem at all. Gents, ladies, anybody else that's watching, see you tomorrow, 10 a.m. Assuming I've still got a voice. And assuming I still have a driving license. We shall see. Everybody, good night. Thank you.